Hey guys, welcome to Sleepy History. Tonight we're not rushing anywhere. There's no noise, no pressure, no need to think too hard. Just a quiet space where history moves slowly and every story unfolds gently. So, if you're lying down, getting comfortable, maybe with the lights off or a soft glow in the background, just let your body relax. Take a slow breath in and let it go. Tonight's journey will take us through small details of the past, curious moments, quiet lives, and stories that don't need excitement to be meaningful. Stories that are calm, steady, and perfect for rest. So close your eyes if you'd like, and let's begin. Slowly. As we begin, we find ourselves in the quiet, early morning of an ancient Roman camp. The air is still, cool, and calm. There are no loud sounds. Only the soft movement of soldiers waking up, preparing for another day. Their armor rests nearby, their shields placed carefully beside them, and as they begin to move, one small detail becomes clear. Their footwear. Not heavy boots, not thick leather coverings, but something much simpler, sandals. At first glance it feels unusual, even strange. Why would soldiers, men who march across long distances, who face harsh terrain, choose something so open, so light? But in this quiet moment, as the sun slowly rises, we begin to understand that this simple choice was not a weakness. It was a design, a careful decision built through experience. Roman soldiers walked a lot, not just short distances, but miles day after day across different lands. Hot regions, dusty roads, uneven ground, and in such conditions heavy boots would trap heat, cause discomfort, slow them down. But sandals allowed the air to flow, keeping their feet cool, dry, and surprisingly more comfortable over long journeys. The straps carefully tied held the foot in place, providing stability while still allowing movement. It was simple, but effective. And in the Roman world, effectiveness mattered more than appearance. As the soldiers begin their day, tying their sandals, adjusting the straps, we see a quiet routine. Nothing rushed, nothing dramatic, just preparation. A steady beginning to a long day ahead. And as we sit here, watching this calm scene unfold, we begin to notice something deeper. That even the smallest details, like a pair of sandals, can carry a story of practicality, of adaptation, of quiet intelligence. And as the morning light spreads across the camp, we continue, slowly moving forward into the lives of these soldiers and the world they quietly walked through. And as the morning slowly settles over the Roman camp, the quiet rhythm of daily life begins to take shape. There is no rush. No sudden movement, only a steady flow of preparation. The soldiers move calmly, each one following a routine that has become familiar over time. Some adjust their armor, others check their equipment, and many sit quietly for a moment, focusing on something simple. Their sandals, made from leather, carefully shaped and designed not just for comfort, but for endurance. Each pair is slightly different, worn over time, marked by long journeys and countless steps across the land. If you look closely, you can see the details. The straps crossing over the top of the foot, wrapping around the ankle, holding everything in place. Small metal studs line the sole, not for decoration, but for grip. As the soldiers walk, these studs press gently into the ground, giving them balance, even on rough or uneven terrain. It is a quiet form of engineering. Simple, yet thoughtful. Nothing excessive, nothing unnecessary, just what is needed and nothing more. And as they begin to stand, to take their first steps of the day, there is a soft, rhythmic sound, a gentle tapping as leather and metal meet the earth. Not loud, not distracting, but steady, almost calming. Step after step after step. And as they move together, the sound blends into something continuous, a quiet reminder of movement, of purpose, of progress. The road ahead is long. It always is. Roman soldiers are known for their discipline, their structure, their ability to move as one. But beneath all of that, there are small comforts, small decisions like the sandals they wear that make this life possible. The roads they walk on are often rough, covered in dust, stones, and uneven surfaces. And yet, these sandals adapt. They do not restrict the foot. They allow it to move naturally, to adjust, to respond to the ground beneath. This reduces strain, prevents injury, and over time makes long journeys more manageable. There is no softness in their path, no smooth pavement, only nature in its simplest form. And still, they continue, because everything they carry, everything they wear, has been chosen carefully. Even in battle, these sandals play a role. They provide stability, grip, freedom of movement. In moments where speed matters, where balance is important, this simple design becomes an advantage. It is easy to overlook, to think of it as unimportant. But here, in this quiet observation, we begin to see it differently, as something essential, as something that supports every step. And as the soldiers move further from the camp, spreading out along the road, the morning light grows brighter. The air warms slightly, the world around them begins to open. Fields stretch into the distance. Low hills rise gently on the horizon. There is a sense of space, of calm, even in the presence of a marching army. And as we watch them continue, their steps steady, their movement unbroken, we begin to feel that same rhythm, that same calm progression. There is no urgency here, no sudden change, only a slow journey unfolding one step at a time. And in that journey, every detail matters, even something as simple as the sandals beneath their feet. And as the road stretches onward, we follow quietly, moving deeper into their world, where discipline, design, and daily life come together in a steady and unchanging flow. And now, as the quiet line of Roman soldiers continues to move forward, we leave the camp behind. The soft sounds of preparation fade into the distance, replaced by something even more gentle, the rhythm of walking. Step after step, a steady movement across the land. The road beneath them is not perfect. It is not smooth. Small stones press against the ground. Dust rises lightly with each step. And yet, their movement remains calm, unbroken. The sandals they wear begin to show their true purpose here. With every step, the foot adjusts naturally. There is no stiffness, no restriction, only a quiet connection between the body and the earth. The leather straps hold firmly, but not tightly, allowing movement while maintaining balance. And as they walk, the small metal studs beneath their sandals create a soft, repeating sound. A gentle tapping, almost like a slow rhythm guiding the journey. It is not loud, not distracting, but consistent. And over time, this sound blends into the background, becoming part of the experience itself. The soldiers do not think about it. They do not focus on each step because it has become natural, familiar, a part of who they are. The sun begins to rise higher now. Its light spreads across the land, warming the air slowly. The coolness of the early morning fades, replaced by a soft, steady warmth. In heavier footwear, this heat would build quickly, trapped, uncomfortable. But here, with open sandals, the air continues to flow, keeping the feet cool, dry, reducing the weight of the journey. This simple design quietly supports them, without ever demanding attention. The road stretches far ahead, long, endless. It curves gently through the landscape, passing through open fields, small clusters of trees, and distant hills. There is no rush to reach the end, only the need to continue, to move forward. And as the soldiers walk, their bodies settle into a rhythm. Breathing becomes steady, movement becomes automatic. Thoughts begin to quiet. It is no longer just a march, it becomes something else, something calmer, almost meditative, a steady repetition that allows the mind to rest. And in this quiet state, small details become more noticeable. The sound of the wind moving through the grass, the distant call of birds, The shifting light as clouds pass slowly across the sky. Everything feels slower, more present. The soldiers move as one, not because they're forced to, but because the rhythm carries them together. Each step aligns naturally. Each movement follows the same pattern. There is no need for instruction, no need for constant direction. The journey itself creates order, and within this order there is a quiet sense of control. Not rigid, not strict, but balanced. As the terrain begins to change, the path becomes slightly uneven. Small inclines rise ahead. The ground becomes rougher, more textured. Here, the importance of their sandals becomes even clearer. The flexibility allows their feet to adapt instantly, to adjust to each surface, to find stability without effort. The studs beneath provide grip, preventing slips, maintaining balance. Even as the ground shifts beneath them, there is no struggle, only adjustment, a quiet response to the environment. And this ability, this simple design, makes long distances possible, makes endurance sustainable. The soldiers do not need to stop often. They do not need to remove their footwear, because nothing is trapped. Nothing builds up. Everything flows naturally. Air, movement, energy. Time begins to pass slowly. Minutes turn into hours, but it does not feel heavy. It does not feel exhausting, because the rhythm continues, unchanged. And as the sun reaches its highest point, the land around them feels warm, bright, still. The shadows grow shorter, the air becomes quiet, almost silent. In this moment, the soldiers pause, not suddenly, not abruptly, but gradually. Their steps slow, their movement softens, until they come to rest. There is no collapse, no exhaustion, only a calm transition from movement to stillness. Some sit down, others remain standing, looking out across the land. There is no urgency to speak, no need for noise. The silence is comfortable, familiar. Their sandals, now covered lightly in dust, rest against the ground, still. After hours of movement, and in this stillness, their purpose becomes clear again, not as something dramatic, not as something heroic, but as something practical, something that supports, something that allows everything else to happen, without effort, without distraction. The soldiers take a moment, a brief pause in a long journey, and then, as quietly as they stopped, they begin again, rising slowly, adjusting their straps, taking the first step forward. And once again, the rhythm returns, step after step, moving across the land, unbroken, calm, steady. And as we follow them, watching this endless journey unfold, we begin to understand something deeper, that even in a life of discipline, of structure, of responsibility, there can be moments of calm, moments where everything slows down, where the mind rests, where the body simply moves without effort, without resistance. And as the road stretches forward, disappearing into the distance, we continue along with them, quietly, gently, carried by the rhythm of a journey that never rushes but always moves forward. And now, as the steady journey continues across the land, we begin to notice a subtle shift. The quiet rhythm of walking remains, but the environment feels slightly different. The land ahead is more open, wider, less sheltered. The wind moves more freely here, carrying with it a faint sense of tension, not loud, not overwhelming, but present. The soldiers continue forward, their steps still calm, still measured, but with a quiet awareness of their surroundings. This is not just a journey now, it is preparation. And in this moment, every small detail begins to matter even more. The sandals beneath their feet, still simple, still light, now serve a deeper purpose. As the ground becomes firmer, more compact, each step lands with quiet precision. The studs beneath the soles press gently into the earth, providing grip, stability, control. There is no slipping, no hesitation, only steady movement. The soldiers begin to spread out slightly, not in disorder, but in a natural formation. each person maintaining space while still remaining connected to the group. Their movements are quiet, efficient. There is no wasted energy, no unnecessary motion. Everything is deliberate. Even the way they walk feels intentional. And as they move across this open ground, the sound of their sandals changes slightly. The soft tapping becomes more defined, a steady rhythm echoing lightly across the space. It is not aggressive, not overwhelming, but it carries presence, a reminder that they are moving forward together. The air feels warmer now, the sun higher in the sky, and yet their feet remain cool, unrestricted, free to move naturally. In heavier footwear, this moment would feel different. The heat would build, the movement would feel heavier, slower, but here, the sandals allow them to remain light, responsive, ready. And as we observe this quiet preparation, we begin to understand something important. That readiness does not always come from force. Sometimes it comes from comfort, from the ability to move freely without resistance. As the soldiers reach a slightly elevated area, they pause once again. Looking out across the land ahead, there is no immediate action, no sudden change, only observation, awareness. And in this stillness, we see another side of their world. A moment where movement stops, but focus remains. Their sandals rest against the ground, firm, balanced, ready. There is no adjustment needed, no discomfort to fix. Because everything has already been prepared, everything has already been considered. And this quiet readiness allows them to remain calm, even in uncertain moments. The wind passes through again, softly moving across their clothing, carrying with it the scent of dry earth. The land stretches endlessly, and within the space there is a feeling of anticipation, but it is not sharp, not urgent. It is gentle, subtle, like a quiet pause before movement continues. And then, just as before, they begin again, stepping forward, returning to that familiar rhythm, step after step, each movement steady, each step supported by the simple design beneath their feet. And as they continue, the environment shifts once more. Small rocks, uneven ground, slight declines and rises. But nothing interrupts their flow because their movement adapts. Naturally, effortlessly. The sandals bend slightly with each step, allowing the foot to feel the ground, to respond instantly, maintaining balance, maintaining control. And in this quiet adaptability, we see something deeper, a form of strength that does not rely on force, but on flexibility, on awareness, on the ability to adjust without resistance. And as the day continues, the light begins to soften. The intensity of the sun fades slightly. Shadows grow longer. The air cools just a little. And with it, the pace of movement remains unchanged. Steady, calm, consistent. There is no need to rush, no need to hurry toward an end, because the journey itself is continuous, unfolding slowly, one step at a time. And as we follow along, feeling the rhythm, hearing the quiet sound of sandals against the earth, we begin to settle into that same calm state. A space where everything feels balanced, where movement and stillness exist together, where even in moments of preparation, there is peace. And as the soldiers continue into the distance, their figures becoming smaller against the vast land, we remain in that quiet rhythm. That steady flow, carried forward by something simple, something often overlooked, yet deeply important. The quiet support beneath every step. And now, as the long day begins to settle, the steady rhythm of movement slowly softens. The sun, once high in the sky, starts to lower, casting a warm golden light across the land. The shadows stretch longer, the air becomes cooler, and the world feels quieter. The soldiers continue walking, but their pace begins to slow. Not suddenly, not all at once, but gradually, like a gentle shift from motion to rest. Ahead, a suitable place begins to appear. A flat stretch of land, open, calm, and safe for the night. There is no loud command, no urgency, only a shared understanding. And as they arrive, the movement comes to a natural stop. The journey pauses. For now, the soldiers begin to set up their camp. Each action simple, familiar, repeated many times before. There is no confusion, no wasted motion. Everything flows quietly. Some gather materials. Others prepare small fires. A few begin arranging their belongings, creating a space for rest. And through it all, their sandals remain, still worn, still supporting. After a long day of walking, there is no rush to remove them, because they have caused no discomfort, no strain, only quiet support through every step. As the light continues to fade, the warmth of the sun is replaced by the soft glow of firelight. Small flames flicker gently, casting moving shadows across the ground. The atmosphere changes, becomes more intimate, more calm. The sounds of the day disappear, replaced by something softer. The crackle of fire, the occasional movement of fabric, the quiet presence of people at rest. Some soldiers sit near the fire, their posture relaxed. Others lie down, looking up at the darkening sky. There is no need for conversation, no pressure to speak. Silence feels natural here, comfortable. The sandals now rest lightly against the ground, still in place, still in place, still part of the moment. Dust from the road clings gently to them, a quiet reminder of the journey completed. And yet, there is no need to clean them immediately, no urgency, because tomorrow the journey will continue, and they will once again serve their purpose. The sky above begins to deepen, blue fading into darker shades, until slowly the first stars appear. Small points of light scattered across the vastness. The world feels still, peaceful. Time seems to slow even further. The soldiers settle into rest. Some close their eyes. Others simply remain still, breathing slowly, letting the calm of the evening take over. The fire continues to glow softly, its warmth steady, its light gentle. And within this quiet space, there is a sense of completion. The day has ended, the journey has paused, and everything feels balanced. There is nothing left to do, nowhere else to go, just this moment, this stillness, this calm. And as we sit here, watching the soft flicker of firelight, feeling the quiet presence of the night, we begin to relax as well, letting go of movement, letting go of thought, allowing the mind to settle, just as the soldiers have done. And as the night deepens, the sounds grow softer, the fire quiets, the air cools, everything slows until all that remains is a gentle silence, a peaceful space where the world rests. And in that quiet, we remain for a moment longer, before slowly, gently, drifting further into calm. And now, as the night fully settles over the quiet camp, everything begins to slow even further. The last traces of daylight have disappeared. The sky above is deep and endless, filled with countless stars, each one faintly glowing, soft, steady, unchanging. The fires that once burned brighter now glow gently, their lights softer, their warmth calmer. No sudden sounds remain, no movement of urgency, only stillness. The soldiers rest quietly, some already asleep, their breathing slow and even. Others lie awake for a moment longer, not thinking, not planning, just existing within the silence. And in this stillness, the world feels different, lighter, simpler. The long journey of the day, the endless steps, the quiet rhythm of movement, all fade into the background, becoming distant, almost like a memory. The sandals that carried them through miles of land now rest gently where they are, still worn by some, removed by others, placed beside them. Their shape unchanged, their purpose complete for now. There is no urgency to prepare for tomorrow, no pressure to think ahead, because this moment, this quiet space, is enough. The air is cool, not cold, just enough to feel refreshing, a gentle contrast to the warmth of the day. The wind moves softly across the land, barely noticeable, yet present. And as it passes through the camp, it carries with it a sense of calm, a quiet reminder that everything continues, even in stillness. The ground beneath them is firm, unmoving, supportive, just like the path they walked earlier. But now, there is no movement, only rest. And as the night deepens, time itself begins to feel slower. Minutes pass quietly, without being noticed. There is no need to measure them, no need to track their passing, because nothing is required, nothing is expected. The mind begins to settle, thoughts become softer, less frequent, more distant, and in their place, a gentle calm begins to grow. A space where nothing needs attention, nothing needs effort. The body relaxes further, muscles loosen, breathing deepens, becomes steady, natural, and within this calm, there is a quiet connection to the land, to the stillness, to the simple rhythm of existence. The soldiers, though resting, remain part of this world, connected to everything around them, the earth, the air, the sky above, all moving in their own quiet way. And as we remain here in this peaceful night, we begin to feel the same. A gentle slowing, a soft release. Letting go of the day, of movement, of thought. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to carry forward, only this moment, this quiet, this stillness. The stars continue to shine above, unchanging, distant, yet somehow comforting. The fire fades slowly, its light becoming softer until it is little more than a glow, and with it, the last sense of activity disappears, leaving only silence. Deep, unbroken, calm silence. And in that silence there is rest, a space where everything feels at ease, where nothing disturbs the mind, where the body can fully relax. And as we stay here, just a little longer, allowing this calm to settle deeper, we begin to drift, slowly, gently, into a state where thoughts fade and only quiet remains. A peaceful night stretching endlessly, soft and still. And now, as the quiet night continues and the stillness settles even deeper, something begins to change. Not in the world around us, but within. The silence remains soft, unbroken, but the way we feel it becomes different. Lighter, more distant. The camp is still there, the land, the sky, the faint glow of what remains of the fire, all unchanged. And yet, everything feels softer, as if it is slowly drifting away. The soldiers rest peacefully, their breathing steady, slow, calm. No movement, no sound, only quiet presence. And as we remain here, watching this gentle scene, the edges of reality begin to blur. Not sharply, not suddenly, but gradually, like a soft fog settling over everything. The details become less defined, the lines between objects soften. The world feels more like a feeling than a place. And in this space, there is no need to focus, no need to observe closely. Everything can simply exist as it is. The sandals, once so important, so present in every step, now fade into the background, resting quietly, no longer needed. Their purpose complete for this moment. The long journey of the day, the endless walking, the rhythm of movement, all dissolve into something softer, something distant, almost like a memory, slowly drifting away, and in their place comes a gentle sense of weightlessness, a feeling of letting go, of no longer needing to move, no longer needing to think, just floating within the quiet. The stars above remain, but even they feel different now, less sharp, more like soft points of light blending into the darkness. The sky itself feels endless, not something to look at, but something to be within. Time continues, but it no longer feels important. There is no past, no future, only this calm, stretching softly in every direction. The body feels lighter, the mind quieter. Thoughts fade before they fully, drifting in and out, without effort, without meaning, and that is okay. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to understand, just this gentle drifting, like being carried by something unseen, something calm, something steady. The camp, the soldiers, the land, all remain, but they are no longer the focus. They are part of the background now, a soft presence. While the feeling of calm becomes everything, the air feels still, almost weightless. Each breath slow, natural, easy, and with each breath, the body relaxes further, sinking gently into rest. There is no tension, no movement, only stillness. Deep, comfortable stillness. And as we remain here, in this dream-like space, everything continues to soften. The sounds fade completely. The light dims further, until all that remains is a quiet sense of peace. A space where nothing disturbs, nothing interrupts, nothing demands attention. And within this space, rest comes naturally, without effort, without intention. Just a slow, gentle drifting into deeper calm. And as we continue to drift, the world becomes even more distant, fading softly into the background, leaving only the feeling of quiet, of stillness, of rest. And in that feeling, we remain, softly, gently, at peace. And now, as everything continues to soften, the quiet deepens even further. There is no clear sense of place anymore, no strong image, no defined scene, only a gentle awareness that slowly begins to fade. The camp, the land, the sky filled with stars, all still exist, but they feel far away now, distant, like something remembered rather than something present. The soldiers remain at rest, unmoving, peaceful. Their presence is calm, but no longer something we need to focus on. Everything becomes lighter, softer, as if the world itself is slowly drifting away. The sounds are gone now, completely. No movement, no wind, no fire, only silence, deep, endless silence. And within that silence, there is comfort, a feeling of safety, of stillness, of nothing needing attention. The body feels heavy, yet relaxed, supported, as if gently sinking into the surface beneath. There is no effort to hold anything, no need to stay aware, no need to follow the story. Everything can simply fade. Thoughts no longer form clearly, they come and go like soft echoes, faint, unimportant, drifting away before they can take shape, and that is okay. There is nothing to think about, nothing to understand, just this quiet state where everything slows. The breath becomes deeper, slower, more natural, each inhale soft, each exhale even softer, and with every breath, the body relaxes further, letting go of even the smallest tension. The world feels distant now, far away, as if it is no longer around you, but somewhere else entirely, and you remain here in this calm space, this quiet, this stillness. Time no longer moves in a way that can be felt. There are no moments to count, no seconds to notice, only a continuous, unbroken calm. The feeling of drifting becomes stronger, like floating, without direction, without movement, just existing. In a peaceful state, the last traces of awareness begin to fade, softly, gently. There is no sudden change, no clear moment, only a gradual release, letting go of the story, of the world, of everything. And in that release, there is comfort, there is peace, there is rest. The body is fully relaxed now, completely still, the mind quiet, empty, at ease. And as we remain here for just a little longer, everything continues to fade until there is almost nothing left to notice, nothing left to feel, only a deep, gentle calm, a quiet space where rest comes naturally, where sleep begins to take over, slowly, softly, without effort. And as this calm surrounds everything, we drift even deeper, further into stillness, further into rest, further into sleep. And now, as everything has gently faded, there is almost nothing left to notice. No clear thoughts, no images, no movement. Only a soft, endless calm. The world we once followed, the quiet Roman camp, the long roads, the steady rhythm of footsteps, all of it has drifted far away. Not gone, just distant, like a memory that no longer needs attention. The soldiers rest, peacefully, unmoving. Their journey paused within the stillness of the night, and the sandals that carried them across miles of land now rest quietly beside them, their purpose complete. For now, everything feels light, weightless, as if nothing needs to be held onto anymore. The body is fully relaxed, supported, at ease. There is no effort, no tension, only rest, deep, comfortable rest. The breath is slow, soft, natural. Each inhale calm, each exhale even calmer. And with every breath, the mind settles further, drifting deeper into quiet. There are no thoughts to follow, no story to continue, only this gentle space where everything is still. Time no longer matters, moments pass without being noticed. The night stretches endlessly, soft and peaceful, and within it you remain completely at rest. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to hear, nothing left to see, only sleep. Slowly, gently, taking over. And as you drift deeper into this calm, into this quiet, into this rest, you can let go completely. There is no need to stay awake, no need to listen. Just allow yourself to sink softly into sleep. And if at any moment you wish to return to more calm stories like this, more gentle journeys through history, you can always find them here on Try Sleep 4, where everything moves slowly, quietly, and peacefully. But for now, there is nothing more to follow, nothing more to hear, only rest, only sleep. And as the night continues, everything fades completely into silence, into stillness, into deep, peaceful sleep. And now, as the quiet night continues to hold us in its calm, we slowly begin another journey. A different place, a different time, but the same gentle rhythm. Far from the Roman roads, far from the still camps beneath the stars, we find ourselves in a city filled with quiet movement. Venice. A place surrounded by water, where the soft sound of waves replaces the sound of footsteps, where narrow paths and flowing canals create a world that feels both alive and peaceful. It is early, not morning in the usual sense, but a quiet beginning. The kind of moment where the world is awake, but not yet busy. And within this calm, there is a young man, not rushing, not standing out, just another presence in the stillness. His name is Marco Polo. At this point, he is not yet a traveler, not yet a name remembered in history, just someone preparing for something unknown. The air around him feels soft, cool, carrying the scent of water and distant movement. Boats rest gently along the canals, barely shifting. The city itself seems to breathe slowly. Nothing feels rushed, nothing feels loud, and within this quiet environment, Marco begins to move, step by step, not with urgency, but with a quiet sense of direction. There is something ahead, a journey waiting to begin, but for now, everything remains simple. He walks through narrow paths, passing silent buildings, their walls aged, yet steady. Windows reflect the faint light, water below mirrors the sky above. Everything feels connected, still, balanced. Marco's thoughts are not loud, not overwhelming, just small, quiet reflections, a sense of curiosity, of something beyond this place, something distant, something unknown, and yet there is no pressure to reach it, no rush to begin. Because even here, in this still moment, there is enough. The sound of water gently moving becomes a steady background, soft, repetitive, almost calming. It blends with the quiet footsteps, creating a rhythm that carries the moment forward. And as Marco continues to walk, we follow along. Not to see something dramatic, not to rush toward an event, but simply to be present, to move slowly through this peaceful beginning. There is no clear destination yet, only a direction, a feeling, a gentle pull towards something beyond the horizon. And as the city begins to brighten slightly, as light slowly touches the edges of buildings, we sense that this is only the start, a beginning that does not demand attention, but quietly invites it. Marco pauses for a moment, looking out across the water. The surface calm, reflecting the soft light above. There is something about this stillness that feels complete, as if nothing more is needed. And yet, beyond this calm, there is movement waiting. Journeys yet to unfold, stories yet to be lived. But for now, everything remains quiet, steady, unhurried. And as we stay in this moment, feeling the gentle rhythm of water, the soft presence of the city, we begin to settle once again into calm, into stillness, into a space where nothing needs to happen, only a slow beginning of a long and peaceful journey. And as the quiet stillness of Venice begins to shift ever so slightly, the gentle rhythm of the water continues to guide the moment forward. Marco remains standing for a little while longer, looking out across the calm surface of the canal. There is no urgency in his movement, no sudden decision, only a quiet understanding that something is about to begin. Behind him, the city slowly wakes, not with noise, but with soft movement. A distant boat glides across the water, its motion smooth, almost silent. The faint sound of wood meeting water creates a gentle rhythm, a sound that blends perfectly with the calm atmosphere. Marco turns slowly, his steps measured, his pace unhurried. There is no rush to leave, because every moment here feels complete on its own. And yet the journey ahead calls softly, not loudly, not demanding, but present, like a distant thought that remains in the background. He begins to walk again, moving through the narrow pathways of the city. The stone beneath his feet is cool, slightly uneven, but familiar. Each step carries a quiet sense of purpose, not defined, but understood. The buildings on either side stand tall, their surfaces aged by time. Windows remain still, doors closed, as if the city itself is taking its time to wake. The air is calm, soft, carrying a gentle coolness that lingers from the night. There is no pressure here, no need to hurry, only a slow transition from stillness to movement. As Marco continues forward, the path opens slightly, leading toward a wider canal. Here, the water reflects more light, the sky above now brighter, though still soft in tone. Boats begin to move more frequently, but even this movement feels calm, measured, nothing rushed, nothing overwhelming. Marco pauses once again, watching, observing, noticing the details, the way the water shifts gently beneath the boats, the way light dances across its surface, the quiet coordination of movement around him. Everything feels balanced, connected, and within this calm environment, his journey begins not with a step outward, but with a feeling inward, a quiet readiness, a sense that he is prepared, not through force, but through understanding. There is no need to rush toward the unknown, because the unknown will unfold in its own time. And so he continues, moving slowly toward the edge of the city, where land and water begin to open into something larger. The pathways become less narrow, the space around him grows wider, the feeling of transition becomes more noticeable. But still, everything remains calm, steady, unchanged in its pace. The sounds of the city grow softer behind him, fading gently into the distance, replaced by a broader quiet, a more open stillness. And as he reaches this point, there is a moment, a pause. Not because something must be decided, but because something is being understood, that this journey will not be rushed, will not be forced. It will move slowly, naturally, just like the water that flows beside him. Marco takes a breath, slow, calm, and with that breath, he steps forward once more, leaving behind the familiar, not with hesitation, but with quiet acceptance. There is no need to look back, because nothing is being lost, only expanded. The world ahead is wide, endless, filled with places not yet seen. But for now, it is enough to take one step, and then another, following the same gentle rhythm that has carried everything so far. And as we follow along, moving at this same calm pace, we begin to feel that rhythm as well. A steady flow, a quiet movement, a journey that does not demand attention, but softly invites it. And within that invitation, we continue, slowly, gently, into the unknown. And now, as the quiet city of Venice slowly fades behind us, the world begins to open. The narrow paths, the gentle canals, the still reflections of water, all become distant. Not gone, just softly drifting into the background. Ahead, there is space, wide, open, endless. Marco continues forward, his steps steady, his movement calm. There is no rush, no urgency to reach a destination, only the quiet act of moving, one step at a time. The ground beneath him begins to change, from stone to softer earth, from narrow pathways to open roads. The air feels different here, less enclosed, more free. It moves gently, carrying with it a sense of distance, a sense of something far beyond what can be seen. The sound of water is gone now, replaced by a deeper silence, a broader stillness, the kind that stretches across open land. And within this stillness, Marco continues, his pace unchanged, his presence quiet. There are others on the road, travelers moving in the same direction, but there is no crowd, no noise. Each person exists within their own space, their own rhythm, and together they form a slow-moving flow, a quiet stream of movement across the land. The sky above is wide, open, clear. It stretches endlessly in every direction, and beneath it, the land unfolds gently. Low hills rise in the distance, fields stretch out quietly. Nothing feels overwhelming, nothing feels difficult, only steady, consistent. The journey begins to take shape, not as something fast or demanding, but as something slow, something that reveals itself gradually. Marco walks alongside this quiet flow, his steps blending with the rhythm of the road. There is no need to think about where it leads, because the path itself is enough, each moment complete, each step meaningful. The sun begins to move higher, its warmth spreading gently across the land. The air remains calm, not too warm, not too cool, balanced, comfortable, and within this balance, movement becomes effortless. Time passes quietly. Unnoticed, the hours do not feel heavy, they do not drag, because nothing is forcing them forward. Everything moves naturally, at its own pace. The land begins to shift again, becoming more open, more vast. The signs of the city are now completely gone, replaced by something simpler, something more natural. The road stretches far ahead, fading into the horizon, a soft line where earth meets sky. There is no clear end, no visible destination, only continuation. And in that continuation, there is calm, there is peace. Marco pauses briefly, not out of exhaustion, but to take in the stillness, the quiet around him, the openness of the land. There is something about this space that feels different, less structured, less defined, and yet more free, more complete. He takes a slow breath, the air light, unrestricted, and with that breath, he continues once more, step by step, moving deeper into the journey. The world around him remains quiet, unchanging, but not empty, filled with small details, subtle movements, gentle shifts in light and shadow, the sound of footsteps against the earth. Soft, repetitive, almost rhythmic, it becomes part of the experience, a steady background that carries everything forward. And as the journey continues, the distance between moments begins to fade. There is no clear beginning, no clear end, only a continuous flow, a gentle progression. That does not demand attention but quietly invites it, and within that invitation we follow, slowly, calmly, moving across the land just as Marco does, without rush, without pressure, only the quiet understanding that this journey will unfold one step at a time. And now, as the journey continues further from the familiar lands of Venice, the world begins to feel even more open, even more quiet. The road stretches ahead, long and unbroken, the land around it becoming wider, more distant, less defined by structures, and more shaped by nature. Marco is no longer walking alone. Around him, a small caravan has formed, travelers moving together, not in haste, not in noise, but in a shared rhythm. There is comfort in this quiet company, not through conversation, but through presence, each person moving at a steady pace, each step blending into a single flow. The sound of movement is soft, footsteps against the earth, the occasional shift of supplies, the gentle creak of wooden frames. Nothing sharp, nothing sudden, only a low, continuous rhythm, the kind that slowly fades into the background. The land begins to change again. The ground becomes drier, more textured. More patches of grass give way to open stretches of earth. The air feels warmer, but still calm, still manageable. The sky above remains vast, uninterrupted, a soft blue during the day, stretching endlessly in every direction. There are no tall structures here, no walls, no boundaries, only space. And within that space, movement becomes even slower, even more steady. The caravan moves without urgency, because the journey is long, and it is understood that rushing will not make it shorter, only more difficult, so they continue, step by step, allowing the rhythm to guide them. Marco walks quietly among them, observing, noticing, but not reacting. There is no need to question each moment, no need to understand everything, because the journey itself is simple. Move forward, stay steady, remain calm. The sun begins to grow stronger as the day progresses, its warmth spreading more fully across the land. But the pace does not change. No one rushes to escape it. No one fights against it. They simply adjust, walking at the same steady rhythm, allowing their bodies to adapt naturally. The ground beneath them shifts subtly, becoming softer in some places, firmer in others. Each step requires quiet awareness, a gentle adjustment, but nothing that disrupts the flow. The caravan continues, unbroken. Hours pass, but they do not feel heavy. Time blends into movement. Movement blends into stillness, and everything begins to feel connected. The road, the travelers, the sky above, all part of a single quiet experience. As the day moves forward, small changes appear in the landscape. Low hills rise gently in the distance. The color of the earth shifts slightly. Warmer tones, softer textures, but nothing dramatic, nothing sudden, only gradual change. And within that change, the rhythm remains the same. Steady, calm, consistent. There are moments where the caravan slows slightly, not to stop, but to adjust, to maintain balance, to stay together. And in those moments, there is a quiet awareness, a shared understanding that the journey is not about speed, but about endurance, about patience, about moving forward without resistance. Marco feels this rhythm deeply now. It is no longer something he follows consciously. It has become natural, a part of his movement, a part of his presence. He does not think about each step. He simply takes it. And then the next, and the next. The world around him feels vast, but not overwhelming, open, but not empty. There is a quiet beauty in this simplicity, a calm that comes from repetition, from steady movement, from the absence of urgency. As the sun begins to lower slightly, its light softens. The heat becomes gentler, the shadows grow longer, and the air begins to cool. The caravan continues forward, unchanged, their rhythm steady, their movement smooth. There is no need to stop yet, no need to break the flow, because everything feels balanced, everything feels right. And as we move with them, feeling the same slow rhythm, the same quiet progression, we begin to settle even deeper, into calm, into stillness, into a space where nothing is rushed, nothing is forced. Only the journey continuing gently across the endless road. And now, as the long day of travel begins to soften, the light across the open land slowly changes. The sun, once high and steady, starts to lower toward the horizon. Its warmth becomes gentler, its brightness softer. The shadows stretch out across the ground, long and quiet. The caravan continues moving, but their pace begins to slow. Not suddenly, not all at once, but gradually, like a calm transition from motion to rest. There is no command to stop, no signal that breaks the rhythm, only a shared understanding that the day is coming to an end. The land ahead offers a suitable place, a wide open area, flat and still, perfect for pause, and as they reach it, the movement comes to a gentle halt. No urgency, no noise, just a quiet arrival. The journey pauses here for the night. The travelers begin to settle, each person moving in a familiar way. Some gather small materials, others prepare simple arrangements for rest. A few begin to light small fires, their flames rising softly, flickering in the growing dusk. The air begins to cool. The warmth of the day fades, replaced by a gentle evening calm. The sky above shifts in color, soft tones of orange and gold, slowly blending into deeper shades. Everything feels peaceful, balanced. The sounds of the road disappear, replaced by something softer. The quiet crackle of fire, the faint movement of fabric, the low presence of people at rest. Marco finds a place within the camp, not separate, not distant, but part of the quiet whole. He sits for a moment, still, unhurried, observing the calm around him. There is no need to speak, no need to act, only to exist within this gentle pause. The long journey of the day, the steady rhythm of steps, all begin to fade into the background, becoming distant, like something already complete. The fires continue to glow softly, their light moving gently across the ground, creating a space that feels warm, safe, and calm. Some travelers sit nearby, others lie down slowly, allowing their bodies to rest. There is no tension, no urgency to prepare for tomorrow, because this moment, this stillness, is enough. The sky darkens further. The last light of the sun disappears, leaving behind a deepening blue, and within it, the first stars begin to appear, small points of light, quietly shining above. The camp settles into silence. Not empty silence, but a peaceful one, filled with calm presence. The firelight flickers gently, casting soft shadows. The air is cool but comfortable, and within this space, everything begins to slow. Breathing becomes deeper. Movement becomes softer. The mind begins to quiet. Marco lies back slowly, looking up at the open sky. The vastness above feels endless, but not overwhelming, just calm, just still. The journey continues, but not in movement now, only in rest. The body relaxes, letting go of the day, letting go of effort. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to follow, only this quiet night, this gentle pause. The fires begin to dim slightly, their light softer now, the sounds fading, everything moving towards stillness. And as we remain here, within this peaceful camp, feeling the cool air, watching the soft glow of firelight, we begin to settle as well. letting go of movement, letting go of thought, drifting slowly into calm, into quiet, into rest. And as the night deepens, everything continues to soften, gently guiding us towards sleep. And now, as the night fully settles over the quiet caravan camp, everything begins to slow even more. The last traces of daylight have faded. The sky above is deep and wide, filled with countless stars, each one soft, steady, and distant. The fires that once glowed brighter now burn gently, their light softer, their warmth calm. Nothing moves with urgency anymore. No sound breaks the silence, only stillness remains. The travelers rest quietly, some already asleep, their breathing slow and even. Others remain awake for a moment longer, not thinking, not planning, just existing within the calm. Marco lies still, looking upward, though even that begins to fade. The vast sky above feels less like something to see, and more like something to feel. Endless, open, quiet. The long journey of the day, the steady movement across the land, the rhythm of footsteps, all begin to dissolve, becoming distant, soft, almost like a memory. There is no need to hold on to it, no need to revisit each moment, because everything has already settled. The air is cool, gentle, moving softly across the open space. It carries no urgency, no sharpness, only a quiet presence. The ground beneath feels firm yet comfortable, supporting the body without effort, allowing it to rest fully, completely. And as the night deepens further, time begins to lose its shape. There are no clear moments, no passing seconds, only a continuous calm, a stillness that stretches quietly in every direction. Thoughts begin to fade, not forced away, but gently drifting, becoming softer, less defined, until they no longer need attention. Breathing becomes slow, even, natural. Each inhale quiet, each exhale softer still, and with every breath, the body relaxes further, letting go of even the smallest tension. The world around fades into the background. The camp, the travelers, the soft glow of the fire, all becoming distant. Not gone, just no longer important. Only the feeling of calm remains. The feeling of calm remains. The feeling of being still, of being at rest. There is nothing to do, nothing to follow, only this quiet space. And within this space, everything feels balanced, peaceful, unchanging. Marco remains still, his presence part of the night, part of the calm. There is no movement, no effort, only rest. The stars above continue to shine, unmoving, soft, almost blending into the darkness. The fire dims slowly, its light fading until it is barely there. And with it, the last sense of activity disappears, leaving only silence. Deep, endless silence. And within that silence, there is comfort, a sense of ease, of safety, of nothing needing attention. The body feels heavy, yet relaxed, supported, at peace. And as we remain here, within this quiet night, we begin to feel the same, a gentle slowing, a soft release, letting go of the day, of movement, of thought. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to carry forward. Only this moment, this calm, this stillness. And as everything continues to fade, we drift slowly, gently, into deeper rest, into quiet, into sleep. And now, as the quiet night continues to hold everything in stillness, something begins to change. Not around us, but within. The silence remains, soft, endless, but the way we feel it becomes lighter, more distant. The caravan camp is still there. The open land, the wide sky filled with stars, the faint glow of what remains of the fire, all unchanged. And yet, they feel far away now, like something remembered rather than something present. Marco rests peacefully, unmoving, calm, his breathing slow, steady, blending into the quiet rhythm of the night. There is no movement, no sound, only presence. And as we remain here watching this gentle stillness, the edges of everything begin to soften. Not suddenly, not sharply, but gradually, like a soft layer of calm settling over the world. The details fade, the shapes blur, the space around becomes less defined, less real, more like a feeling than a place. And within this feeling, there is no need to focus, no need to observe. Everything can simply exist, quietly, gently. The journey that once stretched across long roads, the movement of the caravan, the endless steps taken through the day, all drift into the background. Soft, distant, unimportant, the mind no longer follows them, no longer holds on to them, because there is nothing left to understand, nothing left to continue. Only this calm, this quiet drifting. The stars above feel softer now, less like points of light and more like a gentle glow, blending into the darkness. The sky itself feels endless, not something above but something surrounding everything. The body feels lighter, almost weightless, as if gently floating without effort, without direction. There is no need to move, no need to adjust, only to remain still, calm, at rest. Thoughts become faint. They appear briefly and then fade, like soft echoes that never fully form. There is no need to follow them, no need to hold on to them. They pass without meaning, without weight, and that is enough. Time no longer feels real. There is no sense of before or after, only this moment, stretching quietly without end. The camp, the travelers, the land, all remain somewhere, but not here, not in this space. This space is different, softer, lighter, more distant, a place where everything fades and nothing remains solid. The breath continues, slow, gentle, barely noticeable. Each inhale, each exhale, blending into the calm, the body sinks deeper into rest, completely relaxed, completely still. There is no tension, no resistance, only ease. And as we remain here, within this dreamlike calm, everything continues to drift. Further away, further into softness, until only the feeling remains. The feeling of quiet, of stillness, of being completely at rest. And within that feeling, we stay, softly, gently, drifting deeper into calm. And now, as everything continues to soften, the quiet deepens even further. There is no clear sense of place anymore, no strong image, no defined scene, only a gentle awareness that slowly begins to fade. The caravan camp, the open land, the wide sky filled with stars, all still exist, but they feel far away now, distant, like something remembered rather than something present. Marco remains at rest, unmoving, peaceful. His presence calm, but no longer something that needs attention. Everything becomes lighter, softer, as if the world itself is slowly drifting away. The sounds are gone now, completely. No movement, no wind, no fire. Only silence, deep, endless silence. And within that silence, there is comfort, a feeling of safety, of stillness, of nothing needing attention. The body feels heavy yet relaxed, supported, as if gently sinking into the surface beneath. There is no effort to hold anything, no need to stay aware, no need to follow the story. Everything can simply fade. Thoughts no longer form clearly. They come and go like soft echoes, faint, unimportant, drifting away before they can take shape. And that is okay. There is nothing to think about, nothing to understand, just this quiet state where everything slows. The breath becomes deeper, slower, more natural. Each inhale soft, each exhale even softer. And with every breath, the body relaxes further, letting go of even the smallest tension. The world feels distant now, far away, as if it is no longer around you, but somewhere else entirely. And you remain here, in this calm space, this quiet, this stillness. Time no longer moves in a way that can be felt. There are no moments to count, no seconds to notice, only a continuous, unbroken calm. The feeling of drifting becomes stronger, like floating, without direction, without movement, just existing in a peaceful state. The last traces of awareness begin to fade, softly, gently. There is no sudden change, no clear moment, only a gradual release, letting go of the story, of the world, of everything. And in that release there is comfort, there is peace, there is rest. The body is fully relaxed now, completely still, the mind quiet, empty, at ease. And as we remain here for just a little longer, everything continues to fade, until there is almost nothing left to notice, nothing left to feel, only a deep, gentle calm, a quiet space where rest comes naturally, where sleep begins to take over, slowly, softly, without effort. And as this calm surrounds everything, we drift even deeper, further into stillness, further into rest, further into sleep. And now, as everything has gently faded, there is almost nothing left to notice. No clear thoughts, no images, no movement. Only a soft, endless calm. The journey that once began in the quiet city of Venice, the slow steps through narrow paths, the open roads stretching into the distance, the long caravan moving across wide land, all of it has drifted far away, not gone, just distant, like a memory that no longer needs attention. Marco rests peacefully, unmoving, calm. His journey paused within the stillness of the night, and the road he followed, the endless path beneath his steps, now exists only as something soft, something far away. Everything feels light, weightless, as if nothing needs to be held on to anymore. The body is fully relaxed, supported, at ease. There is no effort, no tension, only rest, deep, comfortable rest. The breath is slow, soft, natural. Each inhale calm, each exhale even calmer. And with every breath, the mind settles further, drifting deeper into quiet. There are no thoughts to follow, no story to continue, only this gentle space where everything is still. Time no longer matters. Moments pass without being noticed. The night stretches endlessly, soft and peaceful, and within it, you remain completely at rest. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to hear, nothing left to see, only sleep, slowly, gently, taking over. And as you drift deeper into this calm, into this quiet, into this rest, you can let go completely. There is no need to stay awake, no need to listen. Just allow yourself to sink softly into sleep. And if at any moment you wish to return to more calm stories like this, more gentle journeys through history, you can always find them here on Try Sleep 4, where everything moves slowly, quietly and peacefully. But for now, there is nothing more to follow, nothing more to hear. Only rest, only sleep. And as the night continues, everything fades completely into silence, into stillness, into deep, peaceful sleep. And now, as the quiet calm continues to surround us, we begin another gentle journey, not across open roads, not through busy cities, but over something quieter, something that connects. A bridge. At first it seems simple, just a structure, a way to move from one side to another. But as we slow down, as we take a moment to truly observe, we begin to see something more, something deeper, something almost peaceful. Far back in time, long before large cities, long before grand designs, people faced a simple challenge. A river, a stream, a gap in the land, not wide enough to stop them completely, but enough to slow them down, to make them pause, to make them think. And in that pause, the first ideas began. Not complicated, not planned, just simple: a fallen tree across water, a few stones placed carefully, a narrow path formed over something that once divided. And just like that, a connection was made. No noise, no celebration, only a quiet solution. And as we imagine this early moment, we can almost feel it: the stillness of the water below, the soft movement of leaves above, the careful step as someone crosses for the first time. There is no rush, no crowd waiting behind, only a single movement, a gentle crossing. And in that moment, something changes, not just in the land, but in the way people move through it. Because once a bridge exists, the distance feels smaller, the separation less complete, the journey smoother. And so, these simple crossings began to appear more often, in different places, across small rivers over uneven ground, wherever the land needed connection, each one slightly different, each one shaped by its surroundings, some made of wood, rough, natural, placed with care but without precision, others made of stone, stacked slowly, balanced carefully, built to last longer, to remain steady through time. And as these bridges formed, something else began to grow: a quiet understanding. That connection matters, that bringing two sides together, even in the simplest way, can change everything. The sound of water flowing beneath became part of the experience. Soft, continuous, almost calming. The movement above, slow and steady. Step by step, nothing rushed, nothing forced, just a quiet crossing. And as we stay in this moment, watching this early bridge, feeling the stillness around it, we begin to notice something. That this is not just about reaching the other side, it is about the space in between, the moment of crossing, the pause, the balance, where you are not fully here and not fully there, just moving gently between the two. And in that space there is calm, there is quiet, there is something that does not need speed or effort, only presence. And as time moves forward, slowly, gently, these simple bridges begin to change. Not quickly, not dramatically, but step by step, just like the people who cross them. And so we continue following this quiet evolution of something so simple yet so important: a path over water, a connection across space, a bridge that carries more than just footsteps. It carries time and stories and the quiet movement of history itself. And as we continue gently forward, the simple idea of a bridge begins to take a clearer shape. What once started as a fallen tree or a few carefully placed stones slowly becomes something more intentional, not rushed, not forced, but gradually understood. People begin to notice patterns, what works and what does not. A log placed across a narrow stream may hold for a while, but over time, water moves, wood shifts, things change. And so, small adjustments begin, not as grand plans, but as quiet improvements. A second log placed beside the first, branches laid across the top, a more stable surface, something that feels a little safer, a little stronger. These early wooden bridges remain simple, natural, formed from what is available. No perfect measurements, no exact designs, only observation and careful placement. The wood itself tells a story: rough textures, uneven edges, surfaces shaped not by tools but by time, by nature. And yet, within this simplicity, there is balance, a quiet strength, enough to support a slow crossing, enough to create connection. The sound of water continues beneath, flowing steadily, unchanging, a soft background to every step taken above. And above that, the wood creaks gently, not loudly, not sharply, but softly, a reminder of movement, of weight shifting, of the bridge responding to each step. People cross slowly, carefully, not out of fear, but out of awareness. Each step placed with intention, each movement steady, and in this slow crossing there is a rhythm, a quiet pattern. Step, pause, step. Nothing rushed, nothing forced, just a gentle flow from one side to the other. Over time, these wooden bridges begin to appear more often, in places where crossing is needed, in areas where paths begin to form, where people return again and again. And with each return, the bridge becomes more familiar, more trusted, more a part of the landscape itself. Some bridges are rebuilt, repaired, adjusted as needed, new wood replacing old, stronger pieces chosen, better placement discovered, and through this quiet process, a deeper understanding begins to grow, that a bridge is not just placed, it is maintained, cared for, observed over time. The environment plays its part as well. Rain falls, water rises, wind moves across the surface, and the bridge responds, sometimes shifting slightly, sometimes holding firm, always part of the natural rhythm around it. There is no resistance, no attempt to control everything, only adaptation, a quiet balance between structure and the world it exists within. And as we observe these early wooden bridges, we begin to see something more than just construction. We see patience, we see attention, we see a slow process of learning. Each bridge slightly better than the last, each crossing slightly more stable, and yet the simplicity remains. Nothing unnecessary, nothing excessive, only what is needed. The sound of footsteps on wood continues, soft, repetitive, almost calming, a steady rhythm that blends with the water below, creating a peaceful moment with every crossing. And as people move across these bridges, they do not rush, because there is no need to. The bridge itself encourages slowness, encourages awareness, encourages presence, and in that presence there is calm. A quiet moment between two places, between two sides, where movement slows and everything feels balanced. And as time continues, these wooden bridges remain, some lasting longer than others, some replaced, some forgotten, but each one part of the same gentle story, a story of connection, of simple ideas growing slowly over time. And as we continue forward, we begin to see how these early designs lead to something more, something stronger, something more lasting, but still built with the same quiet intention, the same steady care, and the same calm understanding that a bridge is more than just a path. It is a moment, a pause, a gentle crossing through time. And as time continues to move quietly forward, people begin to notice something important. Wood is helpful. Wood is natural. But wood does not last forever. Rain slowly softens it. Sunlight dries it. Seasons change it. And rivers are patient. They continue flowing day after day, year after year. So gradually, a new idea begins to appear. Stone, not soft like wood, not changing quickly, but steady, strong, reliable. At first, people do not build large stone bridges. They begin in a much simpler way. Stepping stones, carefully placed rocks across shallow water, not perfectly aligned, but close enough for a careful crossing. One step at a time, foot touching stone, then the next, water flowing gently between them. And in that moment, crossing becomes something almost peaceful, a slow rhythm. Step, balance, step again. The stones remain quiet beneath. Cool, solid, unmoving. Unlike wood, they do not creak, they do not shift easily. They simply remain, and slowly people begin to trust them. Over time, these stepping stones become more organized, placed with more thought. Larger stones chosen, better spacing, a smoother path across the water. And somewhere in this quiet process, an important realization happens. What if the stones could be lifted higher? What if the crossing could stay above the water, even when the river rises? And with that gentle question, The first true stone bridges begin to appear. Not massive structures, not the great arches we imagine today, but simple raised crossings, short spans, carefully stacked stones forming a base, flat stones laid across the top, a small path, suspended just above the moving water. These early stone bridges are built slowly, very slowly, each stone heavy, each movement requiring effort and patience. But there is no rush, because these builders understand something important. Stone requires calm work, careful placement, balance. If one stone sits incorrectly, everything changes. So they pause often, they adjust, they observe, and gradually a stable structure forms. When someone crosses for the first time, the experience feels different, more secure, more grounded. The bridge does not move. It does not respond to each step like wood. Instead, it simply supports, quietly, firmly. Water continues flowing beneath. But now the crossing remains steady above it, and this changes everything. Villages begin to connect more easily. Paths become clearer. Travel becomes calmer. A bridge made of stone feels permanent, like it belongs there, like it has always been part of the land. And as civilizations begin to grow, so does the knowledge of building. In ancient regions, especially among early engineers and builders, stone bridges begin to improve. The foundations become stronger, the placement more precise. Builders learn how water behaves, where pressure is strongest, where support is needed most, and slowly the idea of shaping stone emerges, not just placing it, but crafting it, edges smoothed, surfaces flattened, pieces fitting together more closely, almost like a quiet puzzle. And as the bridge becomes stronger, people feel more confident crossing it. Carts begin to pass. Animals follow the same route. Daily life slowly begins to rely on these structures, but still, the environment remains calm. The bridge does not dominate the land, it blends into it. Stone matching the colors of the earth, the water reflecting the sky beneath, wind moving gently through the area. Everything connected, everything balanced. And if we imagine standing near one of these early stone bridges, we would notice something peaceful. The steady presence of the structure, the quiet movement of the river, the soft sound of footsteps crossing. No rush, no noise, just time moving gently forward. And as more bridges appear, knowledge spreads slowly. Not through books, not through large plans, but through observation. Builders learning from builders, watching how structures hold, how they endure storms, how they remain standing year after year. And through this slow exchange of knowledge, bridges continue to evolve. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but gradually, just like everything else in history. A quiet progression, step by step, stone by stone. And as we continue this calm journey, we begin to approach something even more fascinating. A design that changes bridge building forever, a shape that holds strength naturally, a structure that seems almost graceful, the arch. But that is a story for the next moment in our journey. And now, as the slow passage of time continues, we arrive at a moment of quiet transformation. The idea of stone bridges, already steady, already reliable, begins to change. Not in a sudden way, not through loud innovation, but through a simple shape, a curve. At first it may seem small, a slight difference, a gentle bend in the structure. But within this curve, there is something powerful, something balanced, something that understands weight without resisting it. This is the arch, and in the hands of Roman builders, this simple form becomes something extraordinary. Before this, stone bridges relied on flat surfaces, heavy stones placed across supports, strong but limited. The distance they could span was short. Because stone, though strong, does not easily stretch across open space, it needs support. But the arch changes this. Instead of fighting gravity, it works with it. Each stone, carefully shaped, placed in a curved form, leaning gently into the next, supporting and being supported at the same time. At the very center, there is a single piece, the keystone, Not larger, not louder, but essential. Once placed, everything holds together, quietly, firmly, as if it was always meant to be. And when we imagine this structure, we can almost feel its balance, the weight above moving downward. But instead of collapsing, it spreads outward, into the sides, into the earth, creating stability. Without strain, without resistance, Roman builders begin to use this design carefully, slowly. They observe how it behaves, how it holds under pressure, how it remains steady through time. And with each new bridge, their confidence grows. The construction itself is calm, measured, each stone cut with care, each placement intentional. There is no rushing, because the arch demands patience. If one piece is placed incorrectly, the balance shifts, so they move slowly, quietly, building something that feels almost alive in its structure. The result is something both strong and graceful, a bridge that rises gently above the water, curving softly, connecting one side to another, not forcing the land to change, but adapting to it. And beneath the arch, the water continues to flow, uninterrupted, calm, reflecting the curve above, creating a mirror of movement and stillness. The sound of the river remains, soft, steady, a constant presence beneath the structure. And above, people begin to cross, not with hesitation, but with ease. The bridge does not shift, it does not creak, it does not respond to each step. It simply holds, firm, quiet, reliable. Carts pass over it, animals move across it, daily life flows smoothly, because the bridge has become something dependable, something lasting. And as these Roman bridges appear across different lands, they begin to shape the world around them. Paths become roads. Roads become routes of connection. Travel becomes easier, more consistent, more calm. But even as these structures grow in importance, they do not lose their quiet presence. They remain part of the landscape, stone blending with earth, the arch reflecting the natural curves found in the world itself. Nothing feels forced, nothing feels out of place. Everything feels balanced. And if we imagine standing beside one of these bridges, we would notice something peaceful. The gentle curve above us, the steady flow of water below, the quiet sound of footsteps crossing, the stillness of stone that has not moved for years, maybe even centuries. Time passes around it. Seasons change, rain falls, water rises and falls again, and yet the bridge remains, unchanged, calm, a quiet witness to everything around it. Roman builders continue refining this design, making bridges longer, stronger, more precise, but always with the same principle, balance. Each stone supporting another, each part connected, nothing standing alone, and in that connection there is strength, not through force, but through unity, through understanding, through patience. And as we follow this quiet evolution, we begin to see that bridges are no longer just crossings. They are something more, something lasting, something that carries not just people, but time itself. And as the world continues to change slowly around them, these arches remain, a simple curve, holding everything together, without effort, without noise, only quiet strength. And as we move forward in our journey, we begin to wonder what happens next, how these ideas continue, how bridges grow beyond even this. But for now, we remain here, in this calm moment, beneath the gentle curve of stone, watching the water flow, feeling the quiet strength of something built to last. And now, as the quiet strength of stone bridges continues to spread, the world itself begins to change. Not suddenly, not in a way that feels fast, but gradually, almost quietly. The bridges that once connected small paths now begin to link something greater. Villages become towns, towns begin to connect with one another, and slowly, routes begin to form, long paths stretching across the land. not just for walking, but for carrying goods, stories, moments of daily life moving from one place to another. And at the center of these routes, bridges remain, calm, steady, unmoving, as everything else flows around them. Carts begin to appear more frequently, wooden wheels turning slowly, carrying supplies across the land. Grain, cloth, tools, simple things, yet important. And as these carts approach a bridge, their movement slows, not out of difficulty, but out of awareness. The crossing is still a moment of transition, a pause, a gentle shift from one side to another. The sound changes from the soft movement of earth to the steady contact of wood and stone, a low, rhythmic sound, almost calming, as wheels roll carefully across the surface. Animals follow alongside, their steps quiet, measured, part of the same steady flow. There is no rush, because the bridge itself encourages slowness, encourages care, encourages presence. And as more people begin to travel, these bridges become familiar places. Recognized points along a journey, a place to pause, to observe, to take a breath. The water beneath continues to flow, unchanged, carrying its own quiet movement, day after day, year after year. And above it, life moves gently forward. Bridges begin to grow slightly larger, not dramatically, but enough to support more weight, more movement. Stronger foundations are built, wider paths are created, but the design remains calm, balanced, nothing excessive, only what is needed. And in this quiet expansion, trade begins to feel easier, more natural. Goods move without interruption. Journeys feel smoother, less uncertain, and with that, communities begin to feel closer, even if they are far apart, because connection now exists, not just in idea, but in structure, in something that can be crossed, something that remains. And as these routes extend further, bridges become part of a larger network, not isolated structures, but pieces of something connected, each one playing its role, each one quietly supporting movement. Across rivers, across valleys, across spaces that once divided. And yet, even as their importance grows, they do not lose their calm presence. They do not demand attention. They do not stand out loudly. They simply exist, supporting, holding, allowing everything else to move. And if we imagine standing on one of these bridges, during this time, we would feel that quiet balance. The steady surface beneath our feet, the gentle movement of water below, the soft sound of wheels and footsteps passing. Nothing rushed, nothing overwhelming, only a slow flow of life, moving forward. And as the sun moves across the sky, casting soft light over the stone, the bridge becomes part of the landscape, part of the rhythm of the day. Morning crossings, afternoon movement, evening stillness, all passing over the same structure, unchanged, reliable, calm. Time moves forward, seasons change, rain falls, water rises and falls again, and still the bridge remains, holding everything together, without effort, without resistance, just quiet strength. And as the world continues to expand slowly around it, we begin to see something deeper. That these bridges are not just part of travel, they are part of connection, of bringing distant places closer, of allowing movement to flow naturally. And in that flow there is something peaceful, something steady, something that does not need speed to exist, only time, only patience, only the quiet understanding that every journey crosses something, and somewhere along that path there is always a bridge, waiting. Still, calm, ready to carry the next step forward. And now, as the long, quiet movement of the day begins to settle, the world slowly changes once again. The steady flow of travelers, the soft sound of wheels crossing stone, the gentle rhythm of footsteps, all begin to fade. The sun lowers toward the horizon. Its light softens, spreading a warm glow across the land. The shadows grow longer, stretching quietly across the surface of the bridge. Everything feels slower, calmer. The movement that once filled the day becomes lighter, less frequent, until only a few remain. Crossing gently, without rush, without noise, the air begins to cool. A soft evening calm settles in. The warmth of the day fades, replaced by a gentle stillness. The bridge remains where it has always been, unmoving, steady. A quiet presence between two sides. The water beneath continues to flow, softly, unchanged, carrying its own endless movement. But now, its sound feels more noticeable, more present. Because everything else has become quiet, the occasional traveler passes, their steps slow, almost thoughtful, as if the bridge itself encourages them to pause, to notice, to feel the moment of crossing. And then they are gone, leaving the bridge once again in stillness. The sky begins to shift in color, soft tones of gold and orange slowly blending into deeper shades. The light fades gently, not suddenly, not sharply, but gradually, like everything else in this quiet world. And as evening becomes night, the bridge changes in feeling, not in structure, not in form, but in presence. It feels softer, more still, more connected to the silence around it. The last sounds of the day disappear. No more footsteps, no more wheels, only the quiet flow of water beneath and the gentle movement of air across the surface. The first stars begin to appear above, small points of light, steady, calm, reflecting faintly in the water below, creating a quiet mirror between sky and river. The bridge stands between them, connecting not just land, but space itself, above and below. Still and moving, everything balanced, everything calm. If we imagine standing there now, alone on the bridge, we would feel something different. Not the movement of the day, not the quiet activity of travelers, but something deeper, a stillness that fills the space, a calm that does not need anything. The stone beneath feels cool, steady, unchanging. The air is soft, carrying no urgency, only presence, and in that moment, time feels slower, almost still. There is nothing to follow, nothing to watch, only the quiet existence of the bridge itself, standing through day and night, through movement and stillness. Always the same, always calm. And as we remain here, in this peaceful night, the world begins to fade even more. The edges of things soften. The details become less important. The sound of water becomes a gentle rhythm, almost like a slow breath. In and out. In and out. The stars above continue to shine, unmoving, silent. The bridge remains between everything, not changing, not demanding, only supporting, only existing. And within this stillness, we begin to feel something shift. A quiet release, a soft letting go. The day is gone. The movement has ended. Now there is only rest. The mind slows. Thoughts become softer, less defined, more distant. The body relaxes, letting go of tension, letting go of effort. And as we remain here, standing on this quiet bridge, surrounded by night, by stillness, by calm, we begin to drift, slowly, gently, into rest, into quiet, into a space where everything fades and only calm remains. And now, as the quiet night continues to settle over everything, the stillness deepens even more. The bridge remains just as it always has, unmoving, steady, calm. But the way it feels begins to change, not around us, but within. The details that once felt clear, the shape of the stone, the gentle curve, the flowing water below, all begin to soften, not disappearing, just becoming lighter, less defined, more distant. The world around the bridge fades gently. The land, the sky, The quiet path that once carried footsteps, all drifting into the background, like a memory, slowly moving further away. The sound of water remains. But even that begins to change. It is no longer something separate, no longer something to listen to. It becomes part of the silence, a soft rhythm, blending into the calm. The stars above feel different now, less like points of light and more like a gentle glow spread across the darkness. The sky itself feels endless, not something above, but something surrounding everything. The bridge exists within this space, not as a structure to cross, but as a quiet presence, a feeling, a balance between stillness and movement. The body feels lighter, more relaxed, as if gently sinking into the moment. There is no need to stand, no need to move, only to remain, still, calm, at rest. Thoughts begin to fade. They appear softly and then drift away, without forming completely, without needing attention. There is nothing to think about, nothing to follow, only this quiet, this gentle drifting. The bridge is no longer something we observe. It becomes part of the feeling, a symbol of connection, but now without direction, without purpose. Only calm, only stillness. Time feels distant. There is no sense of passing moments, no beginning, no end, only a continuous quiet, stretching endlessly. The water below no longer feels like movement. It feels like a soft presence, like a slow breath, barely noticeable. The air is still, weightless. Everything feels balanced, complete. The world has softened to the point where nothing stands out, nothing asks for attention. Everything simply exists, gently. And within this space, we begin to drift further, away from the structure, away from the idea, into something even quieter. The bridge remains somewhere, but not here, not in this moment. This moment is different. It is not about crossing, not about movement, only about rest, only about stillness. The body relaxes completely, fully supported. Without effort, the mind becomes quiet, empty, at ease. There is no tension, no resistance, only calm. And as we remain here, within this dreamlike stillness, everything continues to soften. Further, deeper, until only the feeling remains. A quiet sense of peace, a gentle calm, a stillness that holds everything. And within that stillness we stay, softly, gently, drifting deeper into rest. And now, as everything has gently faded into stillness, there is almost nothing left to notice. No clear shapes, no defined sounds, no movement, only a soft, endless calm. The bridges we once followed, the simple wooden paths, the steady stone crossings, the quiet arches rising above flowing water, all of it has drifted far away. Not gone, just distant, like a memory that no longer needs to be held. The rivers that once moved beneath them, the footsteps that crossed slowly above, the quiet rhythm of life flowing from one side to another, all now rest within that same distance. Soft, unnoticed, at peace. There is no longer a need to cross, no need to move forward, no need to follow a path, because everything has already settled. Everything has already arrived. The body feels completely relaxed, heavy yet comfortable, supported, at ease. There is no effort, no tension, only rest, deep, gentle rest. The breath is slow, soft, natural. Each inhale calm, each exhale even calmer. And with every breath, the mind becomes quieter, drifting further away from thought, further into stillness. There are no thoughts to follow, no story to continue, only this quiet space where everything feels complete. Time no longer matters. Moments pass without being noticed. The night stretches endlessly, soft and peaceful, and within it, you remain fully at rest. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to hear, nothing left to see, only sleep. slowly, gently, taking over. And as you drift deeper into this calm, into this quiet, into this stillness, you can let go completely. There is no need to stay awake, no need to listen further. Just allow yourself to sink softly into sleep. And if at any moment you wish to return to more calm stories like this, more gentle journeys through history, you can always find them here on Try Sleep 4, where everything moves slowly, quietly, and peacefully. But for now, there is nothing more to follow, nothing more to hear, only rest, only sleep. And as everything fades completely, the world disappears into silence, into stillness, into deep, peaceful sleep. Tonight, we slowly drift back in time to a world that feels quieter, softer, a world before noise, before endless information, before answers were everywhere. This is a time when questions were rare and silence was full of meaning. In the ancient lands of Greece, where the sea gently touched the edges of small cities and olive trees stood still under the golden sun, people lived simple lives. They worked, they rested, they told stories of gods and heroes, stories that explained everything, or at least everything they believed needed explaining. The sky above them was not just the sky, it was the realm of powerful gods. Thunder was not just a sound, it was the voice of Zeus. The ocean was not just water, but the domain of Poseidon. And the sun, slowly crossing the sky each day, was Helios, guiding his glowing chariot from dawn to dusk. For a long time, no one questioned these stories. They were comforting. They gave meaning to things that felt unknown. And in a world without science, comfort mattered. But slowly, very slowly, something began to change. Not everywhere, not all at once. Just a few individuals, in quiet moments, began to wonder. Not loudly, not rebelliously, but gently. What if there was another way to understand the world? What if things happened not because of gods, but because of something natural, something simple, something consistent, something that could be understood? And so, without anyone realizing it at first, a new way of thinking was born. Far from crowds, far from noise, in a small city called Miletus, on the coast of what is now modern-day Turkey, there lived a man. His name was Thales. He was not a king, he was not a warrior. He did not command armies or rule over people. Instead, he observed. He watched the world quietly, patiently, without rushing to conclusions. He looked at rivers flowing endlessly toward the sea. He watched rain fall from the sky, nourishing the earth. He saw water freeze into ice and vanish into invisible vapor. And as he observed these changes, a simple idea began to form in his mind. What if everything came from water? It was a bold thought for its time, because instead of saying, the gods created everything, he was saying, maybe there is a single natural element behind all things. Water was everywhere. It could change shape. It could sustain life. It could move, transform, disappear, and return again. To Thales, this wasn't just a guess. It was a beginning, a first step toward explaining the world without relying on myth. And even though his idea was not entirely correct, that wasn't the point. What mattered was the way he thought. For the first time, someone was asking not which god did this, but what is this made of? And that question, simple as it sounds, changed everything. After Thales, others began to think in similar ways, not copying him exactly, but continuing the journey he had started. One of them was a man named Anaximander, a student, or perhaps simply a follower of Thales's ideas. But Anaximander had a different vision. He listened to the idea that everything came from water and quietly asked himself, what if it's something even deeper? Something beyond water, beyond earth, beyond anything we can see. He called this idea the Aperon, a word that means the infinite, the boundless, the undefined. Unlike water, the Aperon had no clear form. It wasn't something you could touch or see or measure. It was endless. And from this endless source, Anaximander believed everything in the universe emerged. Worlds, stars, life itself, all coming from something infinite and eventually returning to it. It was a mysterious idea, quiet, abstract, almost dreamlike. But it pushed thinking even further. Now, the question wasn't just about physical elements, but about the nature of existence itself. And so, slowly, thought by thought, idea by idea, philosophy continued to grow, not as a sudden revolution, but as a gentle unfolding, like waves reaching the shore, again and again, each one slightly different, yet part of the same ocean. And as the sun set over ancient Greece and night slowly covered the land, these thinkers sat in silence, looking up at the stars, not with fear, not with blind belief, but with curiosity, a quiet curiosity that asked, what are we truly a part of? What is all of this, and why? Does anything exist at all? There were no clear answers, there still aren't, but something had changed. The world was no longer just a place of stories, it had become a place of questions, and questions have a way of leading us forward, even in silence, even in darkness, even in the calm moments, just before sleep. So as you rest now, and let your thoughts slowly drift, imagine those early thinkers sitting beneath the same sky, Duffer, Twang, Tu Twent, feeling the same quiet wonder, not rushing, not searching too hard, just allowing the mind, doubly tenaces, deet, an, to gently explore. And in that stillness, der phrase, temple equals, philosophy was born, not loudly, not suddenly, but softly, like a whisper, carried by time. And as the night grows deeper and your thoughts grow lighter, we will pause here for now. And in the next part, we will continue this journey through the minds of those who saw numbers as the key to reality, who believed change was the only constant, and who questioned everything in the search for truth. But for now, there is nothing more to do, nothing more to think about. Just rest and drift into a calm and quiet sleep. And as the quiet night continues and your thoughts begin to slow, we gently return to that ancient world where questions were just beginning to bloom. The ideas of Thales and the quiet mystery of Anaximander's infinite Aperon still linger in the air, like a soft echo. But the journey does not stop there, because somewhere in the same land of gentle winds and distant seas, another way of thinking was taking shape. A different kind of curiosity, one that did not look at water or the infinite, but at something far more precise, far more structured, and strangely, far more beautiful. This is where we meet Pythagoras, a man not just of thought, but of patterns, of harmony, of numbers. Now Pythagoras was not like the others, where Thales observed nature and Anaximander imagined the infinite. Pythagoras listened, not just with his ears, but with his mind. He noticed something unusual, something most people would overlook, that numbers seemed to exist everywhere, in music, in movement, in the shape of things. If you plucked a string, it created a sound. But if you changed its length, the sound changed too, and somehow those changes followed a pattern, a quiet, invisible order. To Pythagoras, this was not random, this was not chaos, this was harmony, and so he began to believe that numbers were not just tools, but the very foundation of reality itself. Everything, from the stars above to the ground beneath, was connected through numerical relationships. It was a gentle but powerful idea. the universe not as something messy or unpredictable, but as something ordered, something balanced, something that could almost be understood like music. And for Pythagoras, this wasn't just science, it was something deeper, something spiritual. He believed that numbers had meaning, not just quantity, that they shaped the soul and the structure of existence. His followers lived quiet and disciplined lives. They studied numbers, not just to calculate, but to understand the universe. They believed in harmony, in balance, in a kind of peaceful order that connected everything. And as time passed, this idea began to spread. The thought that reality itself could be understood through logic, through patterns, through reason. But not everyone agreed, because not far from this calm and ordered view, another thinker was watching the world and seeing something completely different. Where Pythagoras saw harmony, this man saw change. Constant, endless, unavoidable change. His name was Heraclitus, and to him, the world was not stable. It was not fixed. It was always moving, always shifting, like a river, flowing endlessly forward. Heraclitus once said that you cannot step into the same river twice, because the water is always changing, and so are you. It's a quiet thought, but a deep one. Everything is in motion. Nothing stays the same. The flame burns, but never holds the same shape. The day turns into night, and night returns to day. Even we are not the same person we were yesterday. To Heraclitus, this was the true nature of reality. Not stillness, but flow. Not permanence, but transformation. And strangely, he believed this constant change had its own kind of order, a hidden balance that kept everything in motion. But just as this idea began to settle, another voice emerged, calm, steady, almost unmoving. A thinker who saw the world in the exact opposite way. His name was Parmenides, and where Heraclitus saw change, Parmenides saw illusion. He believed that change was not real, that everything we experience, everything we see shifting and moving, was simply a trick of perception. According to him, reality was one, unchanging, eternal. It did not begin, it did not end, it simply was. It's a quiet, almost still idea, like a world frozen in time, unmoving, complete, perfectly whole. To Parmenides, movement, change, even time itself were not truly real. Only being, only existence, unchanging and constant, was real. And so now, in this growing world of thought, two very different ideas existed, side by side. One saying, everything changes. The other saying, nothing changes at all. And somewhere in between, the truth quietly waited, not rushing to be found, not demanding attention, just existing, like a soft presence in the background of thought. And as these ideas slowly spread across the lands of ancient Greece, something remarkable was happening. People were no longer just accepting the world as it was told to them. They were thinking, questioning, exploring. Not loudly, not forcefully, but gently, like a calm conversation that never truly ends. And as you rest now, letting these thoughts drift slowly, like leaves on a quiet stream, you can almost feel the stillness of that time. No urgency, no pressure, just ideas moving softly through the minds of those who dared to wonder. And as the night grows deeper and your breathing slows, we will once again pause this journey here, because ahead lie the thoughts of a man who asked questions not about the stars or the universe, but about people, about life, about what it means to truly know something. A man who changed philosophy forever, but for now, there is no need to go further. Just rest and let the quiet ideas settle, like gentle waves fading into the shore. and drift, slowly into sleep. And as the calm night continues, and the echoes of Socrates' quiet voice slowly fade into stillness, we gently move forward into the thoughts of another mind, one shaped by those very questions, a student, a listener, a thinker who carried forward the legacy of quiet curiosity. His name was Plato. Plato had watched Socrates closely. He had listened, not just to his words, but to the pauses between them, the silence, the reflection, the patience. And after Socrates was gone, Plato felt something important, a need to preserve those ideas, to give them a form that would last beyond conversation. And so, unlike his teacher, Plato began to write, not in the form of strict lessons, but as dialogues, conversations that flowed gently, like the ones Socrates once had in the streets of Athens. Through these writings, Socrates lived on. His questions, his calm presence, his way of thinking, all carefully carried forward. But Plato did more than preserve. He expanded. He explored ideas that went even deeper. Ideas about reality, about knowledge, about what is truly real and what is only appearance. And among all his thoughts, one story stands quietly above the rest. A story simple in form, but deep in meaning. A story about a cave. Imagine a dark cave. Silent, still, unchanging. Inside this cave, there are people. They have been there for as long as they can remember. Sitting, facing a wall. They cannot turn their heads. They cannot move freely. Behind them, a fire burns softly, and between the fire and the people, objects pass by. Figures, shapes, moving slowly, and as these objects pass, they cast shadows on the wall in front of the people. Shadows that flicker and shift. For those sitting in the cave, these shadows are everything. They are reality, the only reality they have ever known. They give names to these shadows. They recognize patterns. They believe this is the world. But then something changes. One person is freed. Slowly, carefully. They stand, they turn around for the very first time. At first, the light of the fire hurts their eyes. It feels unfamiliar, uncomfortable. But as they adjust, they begin to see not just shadows, but the objects creating them. And slowly, they are led out of the cave, upward, toward the entrance, toward something brighter, something unknown. As they step outside, into the open world, the sunlight overwhelms them. It is too bright, too real, too much. But over time, their eyes adjust, and what they see is something entirely new. Colors, depth, the sky, the vastness of the world beyond the cave. And in that moment, they understand. The shadows were never the full truth. They were only reflections, imperfect images of something more real. And then, gently, they think of the others. Still inside the cave, still watching shadows, still believing that those shadows are everything. So they return, back into the darkness, back to where they once sat. And they try to explain. They try to tell the others that there is more. That what they see is not the whole picture, but the others do not understand. The light has changed their eyes. Their words feel strange, confusing, even threatening. And instead of listening, the others resist. Because sometimes what is familiar feels safer than truth. And so, Plato used this story not just as a tale, but as a reflection, a way of showing that what we see is not always what is real. That knowledge is not just about observing, but about understanding, about moving beyond shadows and seeking something deeper, something clearer, something true. And as this idea settles softly, like dust in still air, we begin to see that philosophy is not just about answers. It is about perspective, about slowly turning from the shadows toward the light. And as you rest now in the quiet of this moment, you can almost feel that gentle movement, not forced, not rushed, just a slow awareness, expanding ever so slightly. And as the night continues, we will soon meet another thinker, one who looked not just at ideas, but at the world itself, who observed, who studied, who organized knowledge in a way no one had done before. But for now, there is nothing more to do. Just let the images fade, the cave, the shadows, the light beyond, all drifting gently away, and allow your mind to settle into calm, into stillness, into sleep. And as the quiet night gently continues and the shadows of the cave slowly fade into stillness, we move forward into another way of seeing the world, a way that is calm, grounded, and deeply connected to what is right in front of us. This is where we meet Aristotle, a student of Plato, yet a thinker with his own path. Where Plato looked beyond the visible world toward deeper forms and hidden truths, Aristotle turned his gaze back to the world itself, to the trees, the animals, the sky, the simple details of everyday life. He believed that to understand reality, we must first observe it, carefully, patiently, without rushing. Aristotle walked through gardens, watched plants grow, studied animals in their natural movements, and paid attention to things others might overlook. The way a leaf forms, the behavior of birds, the structure of living beings. To him, nothing was too small. Nothing was unimportant, because everything held a piece of understanding. And unlike those before him, Aristotle began to organize knowledge, to gently place ideas into categories, to create a sense of order, not just in thought, but in the world itself. He asked simple but powerful questions. What is this? Why does it exist? What is its purpose? And through these questions, he introduced a calm idea that everything in nature has a purpose, a reason for being, a quiet direction. A seed becomes a tree. A child becomes an adult. Everything moves toward its natural state, not in a rush, but gradually, like time itself. Aristotle also thought deeply about human life, about happiness, not as something loud or temporary, but as something steady, something built over time. He believed that a good life was one of balance, not too much, not too little, a middle path, a quiet harmony between extremes. Courage, for example, exists between fear and recklessness. Generosity, between giving too much and holding back too tightly. This idea of balance, of moderation, became a gentle guide, a way to move through life without force, without excess, just steady and calm. And as Aristotle continued his work, he created something new, a system of thinking, logic, a way to understand how ideas connect, how one thought leads to another, how truth can be carefully uncovered, step by step, not guessed, not imagined, but reasoned. And through this, he shaped the foundation of how we think even today, not just in philosophy, but in science, in learning, in understanding the world. And yet, despite all this structure, all this observation, there was still a quiet softness in his approach. Because Aristotle did not rush, he did not force answers. He allowed knowledge to unfold slowly, like a story, revealing itself, one moment at a time. And as you rest now, you can almost feel that calm presence, a quiet mind, observing the world without urgency, without pressure, just watching, just understanding, just being. And as the night deepens and everything around you grows still, we come to a gentle pause. Because the journey of philosophy is not a straight path. It does not end quickly. It continues through time, through minds, through quiet moments of thought. And in the next part, we will slowly begin to see how all these ideas, these different ways of thinking, come together. How they shape not just the past, but the world that followed. But for now, there is nothing more to hold on to, just the calm rhythm of thought, the quiet balance of understanding, and the gentle feeling of drifting further and further into rest and sleep. And as the stillness of the night continues to deepen and the quiet thoughts of those early thinkers gently settle, we slowly move forward into a world where these ideas begin to spread, no longer limited to a few individuals or a single city, but flowing outward like soft ripples across calm water. The teachings of Socrates, the visions of Plato, the grounded observations of Aristotle, all begin to travel from Athens to distant lands, carried by students, by travelers, by those who simply listened and remembered. And as these ideas move, they begin to change, not suddenly, not dramatically, but gently, adapting, shifting, finding new meaning in different places. This is the beginning of a new phase, a quieter expansion, a time when philosophy is no longer just about understanding the universe, but about finding peace within it. Because as the world grows larger and more uncertain, people begin to ask a different kind of question, not just what is the world made of, but how do we live within it? How do we remain calm when things are beyond our control? How do we find balance in a world that does not always feel balanced? And slowly, new ways of thinking begin to emerge. Gentle ideas, focused not on complexity, but on simplicity, on stillness, on inner peace. Some believed that happiness comes from letting go of desire, from not chasing too much, not holding too tightly, a quiet acceptance of what is. Others believed that we should live in harmony with nature, that the world already has its rhythm, its flow, and that peace comes from aligning with it, not resisting, not forcing, just allowing. There were also those who found comfort in understanding what they could control and what they could not, letting go of worry about things beyond reach and focusing only on their own thoughts, their own actions, a calm kind of strength, not loud, not forceful, but steady, like a quiet flame that does not flicker in the wind. And as these ideas spread, they reach people in different ways, not as strict rules, but as gentle guidance, soft reminders that even in a changing world, peace is possible, that even in uncertainty, there can be calm. And as you rest now, you can feel that calm settling gently around you, like a soft blanket, quiet, steady, unmoving. The thoughts of the past no longer feel distant. They feel close, softly present, like a quiet voice reminding you that everything does not need to be solved. Everything does not need to be understood all at once. It is enough to simply be, to breathe slowly, to let the mind soften, to allow thoughts to come and go without holding on to them. And as the night continues and the world grows quieter, we come closer to the end of this journey. A journey that began with simple questions and grew into something much deeper, something lasting. In the next part, we will gently reflect on how these early ideas continued to shape the world long after these thinkers were gone. But for now, there is nothing more to do. Just rest in the calm space between thoughts. Let everything slow, everything fade into a quiet and peaceful sleep. And as the night grows even quieter and the gentle rhythm of thought begins to slow, we move softly into the lasting echoes of everything that came before. The The voices of those early thinkers, though long gone, have not disappeared. They remain not as loud sounds, but as quiet influences, subtle, steady, woven into the way we see the world. The questions of Socrates still live on every time someone pauses and wonders what is truly right, what is truly known. The visions of Plato still linger whenever we look beyond appearances and sense that there may be something deeper. And the calm observations of Aristotle continue quietly. In every moment, we try to understand the world around us. These ideas did not fade with time. They traveled through generations, through cultures, through minds that continued to ask, to think, to reflect, and slowly, almost silently, they became part of human thought itself. Not something separate, not something distant, but something familiar, like a quiet presence in the background of awareness. Even now, without realizing it, we carry these thoughts. When we question something, when we reflect, when we try to make sense of life, of choices, of meaning, it is all connected to those early moments in ancient Greece when a few individuals chose to wonder. And yet, despite all this thinking, all these ideas, there is a gentle realization that begins to settle, that not everything needs a final answer, that not every question must be resolved. Sometimes the question itself is enough. A soft space where the mind can rest, where curiosity exists, without pressure, without urgency. And in that space, there is calm, a quiet kind of peace that does not come from knowing everything, but from accepting that some things can remain open. And as you rest now, you can feel that openness, that gentle release of needing to figure it all out. The mind no longer searching, no longer reaching, just slowly settling, like still water, after movement has passed. And in this stillness, there is something comforting, a sense that, for now, it is enough. Enough to be here, enough to breathe slowly, enough to simply exist without needing more. And as the final part of this journey approaches quietly, we prepare not for an ending, but for a soft conclusion, a gentle closing that does not interrupt, but slowly fades like a last light of evening. But for now, there is nothing more to follow, nothing more to hold on to. Just this calm moment, stretching softly into silence, and rest, and sleep. And now, as the night reaches its quietest moment, we arrive at the gentle end of this journey. Not an ending in the sense of something stopping, but a soft pause, a place where everything can slowly settle. From the first quiet questions in the minds of early thinkers to the flowing ideas that shaped understanding, we have moved, without hurry, without noise, through the origins of philosophy. We began with simple curiosity, a wondering about the world, about what things are made of, about why anything exists at all. We walked beside Thales as he looked at water and saw something deeper. We drifted through the infinite thoughts of Anaximander, where everything emerged from something boundless. We listened to the quiet harmony of Pythagoras, where numbers formed the structure of reality. We felt the movement of Heraclitus, where everything changed like a river in motion, and we rested in the stillness of Parmenides, where nothing truly changes at all. We followed Socrates through the streets of Athens as he asked gentle questions and showed that wisdom begins with not knowing. We stepped into Plato's cave, where shadows danced on the wall and truth waited beyond the light, and we walked beside Aristotle as he observed the world, finding meaning in the smallest details. All of these thoughts, different, yet connected, like soft threads, woven together. And as time moved forward, these ideas did not disappear. They spread, they changed, they became part of something larger, a quiet foundation for how humans understand themselves and the world. And yet, after all of this, there is a simple feeling that remains, that beneath all questions, beneath all ideas, there is stillness, a quiet space where the mind can rest, where nothing needs to be solved, nothing needs to be answered, just a calm awareness that everything is as it is. And that, for this moment, is enough. So as you lie there now, breathing slowly, feeling the weight of the day gently fade away, you can let go of every thought. No need to follow them, no need to hold on to them. Just allow them to pass like clouds drifting across a quiet sky. The journey is complete. The questions can rest, the mind can soften, and all that remains is calm, a deep, steady calm, and as sleep slowly comes closer, you can drift without effort, without resistance, into that quiet space where everything slows, everything softens, everything fades into peaceful rest. And in that stillness, in that gentle silence, you sleep softly, deeply, and completely.